Candy, love and life coaching delivered straight up like your best friend would if she were a licensed and certified mental wellness professional. If you don't know me yet, I'm Candace Harper, relationship coach and hypnotherapist, and I'm here to support you with feeling epic, enough, peaceful, illuminated, and courageous in every area of your life, but particularly your love life, whether you're single or not. I'm also here to teach all of us how to vibe high and manifest the sweetest possible love in this lifetime. I'm here to teach you how to ask for candy and to get it. If you've got something to say about what you hear, email me your comments and questions, askforcandypodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow me on Instagram and TikTok @CandyLoveCoach. Also, make sure you hit the subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to. Leave a review so I can shout you out. And share with the friends and family that you know will benefit from this spoonful of sugar. Now let's get started. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Ask for Candy, where we talk about healing, self-care, love, sex, relationships, and what it takes to be amazing on the daily. Who I am is Candace Harper, lovecoach.com, and I help heartbroken people become wholehearted with results-proven coaching and hypnotherapy so that we can heal the past, love ourselves unconditionally, and start our love lives over from a clean damn slate. I'm also here to support all of us in feeling epic, enough, peaceful, illuminated, and courageous in every aspect of our lives, but particularly in love, whether you are single or not. Now, don't forget to subscribe to our audio broadcast. You know that we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, we're on Amazon Podcasts. We're all over the place. So wherever you like to download, and we actually record on Anchor. So if you want to join Anchor, you can do that too. So wherever you normally download, just go ahead, find us, download us. Make sure that you're making a point to let us know you're following us, you're subscribing to us, because that helps us out. It helps the show keep going, and we've been going strong for 4 years now, every possible incarnation, and we want to be able to keep that up. So let us know you're listening by subscribing and leaving reviews wherever you're listening. Also, you can email us at askforcandypodcast@gmail.com to leave any comments, to ask any questions, and of course, you know I will answer any of your questions in a later broadcast. I'm happy to do so. So today, what are we talking about today, tonight, tomorrow, wherever you are in the world, wherever you're watching this, whatever your time zone is? This topic today, tonight, is whose permission are you waiting for? Let's marinate on that for a second. Whose permission are you waiting for? So all of us out here, everybody wants to be a boss babe these days. Everybody wants to be large and in charge. Everybody wants to be running their own business, creating their own thing, living the life they love, in the relationship they want. Everybody, we want what we want, right? We all want the freedom to have the career, the social life, and especially the love life that really lights us up. But what in the world is standing in the way, besides all the corona in these streets? That aside, there is nothing standing in the way but ourselves, right? You're gorgeous, you're smart and educated, you learned from all your past mistakes, you feel as though you've accumulated some level of wisdom, you're creative, you're kind and community-oriented, you contribute, you're all the right co-words. So why does it feel like love and connection is a struggle? Why does it feel like decisions are so hard? Why does it feel like I can't move forward? I was talking to a couple clients yesterday who are a couple, and they're struggling with some choices and decisions that they're trying to make going forward. And at the heart of it is a lot of fear. At the heart of it is a lot of, things that have been left unsaid. And at the heart of it is whose permission am I waiting for in order to share what I want to share, talk about my fears, talk about what it is I really want to do. Who am I waiting to say it's okay? Who am I waiting to validate how I'm feeling, right? And why is there still something standing in the way of feeling like I've accomplished enough? Why does the future still loom heavy with worries of uncertainty, of dying alone, never experiencing things like family or motherhood or true, committed, passionate love? Why does that stuff just continue to loom without me knowing what to do about any of it? And I'll tell you reason number one. because we can only experience what we allow. And in order to allow, we have to be willing to give ourselves permission for whatever it is we want to experience. In order to give ourselves permission, we have to stop waiting for the permission of others. We have to stop waiting for mommy and daddy and, whoever else that we're waiting for their permission. And, sometimes it's mommy and daddy in a different body to say to us that what we want and what we want to do is valid. We have to stop waiting for something from on high to come and say, yes, you have chosen wisely. This is the way to go. We have to stop waiting for that approval. And how do you know? How does one know when they're still waiting for permission? Because I know there's a whole lot of us out here. We're powerful. Most of my listeners are powerful women, alpha women who get things done, who, know how to be unstoppable, make choices in their life, but have that little bit of dissatisfaction, that part that's still not working out. Usually it's the love life, that part that they haven't really gotten to that, it's just out of reach, that thing I'm trying to create. So let's assess, because you might be saying, oh, Candace, I'm not waiting for permission. I'm a boss babe. I know what I'm doing here. I do what I want to do. But let's assess. And if you hear anything that resonates with you, hallelujah, we get to heal it, right? So number one way to know if you're still waiting for permission, every time you have an idea for your life, your love life, your career, something you want to create, you got to run it by somebody. And whether that's your mother, your best friends, your judgmental siblings, your college advisor, your mentor, your, anybody. And if they have anything negative, a negative thought about it, you'll drop it, whatever it might be, or you'll lose your energy for it. You'll lose your interest in wanting to do it. So, that sounds pretty rudimentary and pretty obvious, but, here I am, someone for decades who really considered myself someone who does whatever they want to do. And that's sort of my motto in life. When people ask me, Candace, what do you do? My answer is usually whatever I want. Right? Because that's how I sort of have designed my life to be. Now, there's a lot of sacrifice that goes along with being a whatever you want kind of gal. That means you might have some struggles financially. You might have some uncertain days, and you got to be able to be with that level of risk in your life. But even with that mentality, there have been times, whether it's someone that I've wanted to date or, whether or not to take a job or where I want to live, where part of my consideration was what other people were going to think. And whether it was people in my family or, people in my friend group. I have one friend who I adore, who I've known for 4 decades now. 4? Yeah. 3 decades. Who, she has very strong opinions about everything. And so, early on in our friendship, when I was younger, there was a lot of things that I would or would not do based on whether she might approve. And it was unconscious. It was completely unconscious, because if you would have asked me, I would have said I do whatever I want to do, my own choice. But I was heavily influenced by the people around me, and we often are heavily influenced by the people around us. We're heavily influenced by wanting to take care of the people around us and do things that make them feel comfortable and that they would be okay with. We pick partners and lovers based on whether they will fit into our family or whether someone in our family might think that they are good enough. And that's number 2. When you consider dating someone new, you try to look at them from the eyes of the people in your life. Will they fit into my family? Will my friends be impressed? Will they be on the same level of status? Right? So you know that you are still waiting for permission if you are in that place. I have a client right now who I love and adore. I talked about her last week. And, one of the things that we have discovered is that she had this whole list of rules that had everything to do with wanting everyone around her, everyone she's related to be impressed with this person. And never mind the fact that those of us who come from families, even those of us who come from families that are well off, have people in our families that aren't the most accomplished. But still, we have it in our mind that whoever we bring around has to be impressive in some way, has to either be the smartest or the most financially successful, or has to, meet up to some standard of someone else in the family. That does happen when status is very important in the family, trying to meet up with family status. And sometimes it's a very unconscious thing. We don't even think about it because it's just we were raised and told that this is how things are supposed to be. And we have certain examples sometimes in our family that represent, yes, this is what's supposed to be. And if we're trying to live up to that and be on that level, we are looking for the permission of others in order to choose someone we date. And you say, well, Candace, what's wrong with that? I mean, if you're family oriented, don't you want all of your family to get along? Don't you want everyone to accept the person that you're with? Ideally, that's a wonderful thing. But what's most important is that you love and accept the person that you're with, and that person loves and accepts you. And sometimes the person who loves and accepts you will come in a wrapping that is not necessarily going to meet the approval of people outside of your relationship. And a lot of times that's your parents, your siblings, whoever your siblings might be married to, whoever else is already in your family may not approve, and they may not understand the depth to which another person might love you and make you feel good if you weren't worried about what they thought. So just marinate on that for a second. Just sit with that one. Number 3, for how you know you're still waiting for permission, you always play it safe. You play it so safe. You don't try anything that has a risk of failure to it. You adhere closely to some set of rules that were invented by who knows, and you never experience the reward of living as fully as you were meant to. You often wonder, what if? What if I would have tried that thing? What if I would have done that thing? How could life have been if I would have taken that risk? Right? And that comes from, that afraid to fail is all about afraid of how other people are going to see it, how other people are going to sort of frame who you are based on your failures. And you're not wrong. As someone who has had colossal wins and colossal failures, when I had colossal failures, those who I got to see who people were in my life. And not to sit from a place of judgment, but I got to understand who really has expectation that I be a certain thing, who really has conditions for which, they feel I need to meet in order to love me or be in relationship with me, who really expects a certain standard from me in order to be in relationship with me. I got to be witness to that and understand that. And it's not always a bad thing. Because, sometimes that means that a relationship is not a long-term relationship if someone can't be with your moments of failure, if someone can't be with your moments of being in downturn. It doesn't make them wrong, doesn't make you wrong. It just makes it very clear that they're not in alignment with where you are in that part of your life. But we get so fearful about the possibility of how people will treat us if we are failing at whatever these unwritten rules of status and standard are. It can get very scary if we feel like, especially if we have a group of friends that, let's say makes a certain level of money, and if for some reason things fail. I mean, I used to work in television, and I was only financially responsible for myself. So I had a lot of financial freedom in those days. And so, most of my friends had that same kind of financial freedom. And when I left television, or television left me, and that financial freedom was no longer available at that level, when it was not looking like that anymore, I really got to see clearly, not because they were there to benefit from me, but they did not approve of the way that my life had shifted. And that's okay that they didn't approve. And when you get to see like how, the people who approve, don't approve, show up or don't show up, you get to really understand, who is there for who you are and who is there for what you provide for them, which is two completely different things. So I say all of that to say, if you are playing it safe, not taking any risks because you don't want to fail, you don't want to let anybody down, you just know that you're waiting for permission. Not anything to beat yourself up about, just something to get real clear on, right? And we'll understand why you need to be clear about whether you're waiting for permission. I mean, first of all, let's just put it on the table. Be real clear about it because, can't nobody live your life for you. And so while you're waiting for someone else to approve of who you choose and how you choose and what you do, you're waiting for them to lead and tell you how you're supposed to be, thinking that that's going to somehow give you some sort of satisfaction because they're approving or impressed by it. Meanwhile, they're trying to work out how to live their best life. Meanwhile, if they're so worried about what you're doing, they probably aren't living their best possible life. If they're so worried about, judging, criticizing, and not giving you approval, they're not living their best life. So how are they going to tell you what you need in order to have it for yourself? I can go on so many tangents with this, and I'll tell you why, because most of these I wrote because I do resonate with them, and they've been featured as a part of my life in different ways, probably my whole life. Number 4, you start things very bravely. And then once you realize that they're not taking off quickly or that they're going to require a lot more work than you originally imagined, you may lose your verve or your interest in it. It's like what I was talking about earlier, where, either you don't want to take the risk that you might fail, or you run an idea by someone, and if you don't get a lot of positive feedback, you start to lose interest in it. But this is when you're willing to actually try to take some steps. And I can think of so many projects and ideas and things that I wanted to do that I got to a certain point, and then when I got to the point where I realized that I could get it to where I got it, but it wasn't at a place yet where people were like, oh, wow, look at what you've done. Or, this is amazing. You've really accomplished something. It was at the point where it's like, oh, what are you doing? What are you trying to do? What's really going on? What's happening? And I would get to that point where the questions would start and people weren't necessarily fully understanding. And rather than being someone who explained or shared or talked about what I was up to with a belief in it, a strong belief in it, because I just didn't have it to be able to do that. I didn't know to do that. I would, sort of take on their energy around it. Oh, that looks like it's going to be hard. It's like, oh, well, I'm going to try anyway. And then I'd start to see it as, yeah, this is hard. This is hard. Do I really want to finish this? Do I really want to keep going? I mean, just to give an example, I've had a wedding dress company, a cake company, a pillow company, things that I just started and was very talented at. And, not to toot my own horn, but creative around. And then I would get it going, get it revved up, and then, no one seemed to be excited enough, and it started to get challenging. And I didn't feel that sense of like, oh, this is going to be so great anymore. And so I would lose my verve rather than stay with it because I didn't feel like I had permission. I didn't give myself permission to keep moving forward. It's just one of those ways, how many unfinished projects do you have that are big projects? I mean, I got a little table right now in my house. I call it the land of unfinished projects that are like craft projects. And that's just more about laziness. But how many unfinished projects do you have in your life that were major, big things that you really were excited about, that you really started to give your all to, and then realized that it really wasn't getting the attention, the attraction, the support, the cheerleading, the votes of confidence, the interest that you were hoping for? And when you started to feel that, kind of lost your energy, lost your steam. Something to think about. That's waiting for permission, honey. And then number 5, you criticize other people a lot. Those of us who wait for permission and approval, we make fun of people who are committed to things that are outside the box. We're that person on the other side that's like the naysayer, the negator, are you sure? You're really going to be able to do that? I don't know. We judge those who make certain choices when it comes to their romantic life, right? So we're hard on them about the people that they choose and what they pick, and making sure that someone's of a certain status. This is like family friend stuff, right? And it's all out of love. It can be very well intended, but when we're in that place where we feel like we're setting ourselves up as the critic, the judge, the naysayer of others, it's because we look at them and we think that they need our validation or our approval, Or we think that by not giving them our validation or our approval, that we somehow can keep them or keep what we're perceiving small enough to not feel inferior ourselves. Ooh, that one's deep. That one might cut to the quick a little bit. So, judges and criticizers come up with sort of they stick to like a stringent paradigm of right and wrong. And whoever's in the wrong camp, we get to set ourselves up to be superior in some way. You can make fun of how they're doing. Look at that person. Like they made fun of the Wright brothers trying to fly that plane. Look at them trying to fly that plane. Who do they think they are? Birds? People laughed at them, and that's obviously a very general example, because you can go look into your own life and think about people who criticize your choices and people who make fun of, things that you are committed to, not the, little diddly things that you do that may not necessarily be good for you, but the stuff that you really get committed to. And you say, I'm all about this thing. I have a friend right now who's building an app. And it's an amazing idea. I'm not going to share it with you because I don't want anybody out there to steal it. But he's got this amazing idea and he's plugging away at it and he's working away at it. And someone else in his life might be like, oh, why are you even doing that? It's not worth it. People aren't going to do that app. Is that really going to be something people are interested in? Yada, yada, yada. And I can bet you somebody did that to Mark Zuckerberg. Somebody did that to Steve Jobs at some point. Somebody did that to Madam C.J. Walker. All kinds of inventive people who said, I can solve this problem. I can provide this thing. I can move forward. And I know this is getting very, career project oriented because I'm usually talking about love. But the same thing kind of happens when we choose people. Those people in your life who are very critical about the person that you choose for yourself. Are you one of those people? Do you criticize whenever a girlfriend or a sister or a brother or someone in your life that you really care about is in a new relationship or looking to have a new relationship, trying to date someone new? Do you look for all the things wrong with them? Do you pigeonhole them into, their past because you know that all their past relationships failed? Do you make fun of whatever it is they're trying to do or make fun of the person that they like, that they're into? I have a girlfriend whose sister married a guy that everyone in the family thinks is unattractive. So when she was marrying that guy, she had to really stick to, I love him. That's the most important thing. She had to really put the opinions of the family aside in order to just push through and have the life that she wanted. And now they've been married forever. Loves him to death. They go on vacations together. They're living their best life. She didn't get all caught up in his height and what he looked like and all that. And she's happy, in love, feeling loved, seen and accepted. And that's the most important thing. So those are some ways that you can kind of recognize, am I waiting for permission? Am I waiting for somebody's approval? Is this who I'm being in the midst of waiting for the permission and approval of others for the things that I truly want to do, deep down in my heart, what I desire? And I don't want you to feel bad or take offense if you see yourself in any of these. I have been any of these at any given time throughout my life. I don't sit from some pedestal on high as if this is never me. We all have our moments, right? But, if you were raised by people who are also waiting for permission, like I was, you cannot help it. You cannot help but be someone who looks for the approval of others, even if you set yourself up as being this wild rebel who does whatever they want to do. Part of you somewhere in there, and even being that wild rebel, that has to do with being conscious of approval. You have to be conscious of approval in order to be rebellious, because that just means you're kicking up against it, which is putting a lot of energy and focus on the lack of approval, right? Oh, it's a paradigm wrapped in an enigma. It just goes round and round. But, some of us come from families with very stringent rules for who we are supposed to be. I'm putting that in air quotes, who we're supposed to be based on what our family thinks. Some of us come from families with stringent rules and an ancestral history of slavery. And asking for permission is embedded in our DNA. There was a time when grown-ass adults had to ask permission from other grown-ass adults or be beaten to death. Just let that sink in for a moment. I know that we're all aware that that is the case, but really give yourself a moment to contemplate that. So you think ancestry after ancestry, that becomes embedded in the DNA, that we don't do anything without asking for permission. And then layer on top of that social permission, which is something that all of us cross-culturally deal with. Are we being given approval and permission? Is it okay? There's a lot of Eastern cultures where you don't even make a move if your parents are not okay with it. You go to the college they want you to go to, you study what they want you to study, you marry who they say you're going to marry. Talk about needing permission and approval. So, all across the world, the diaspora, there are signs and reasons and things that say you're supposed to look for permission and approval. And here we are living in a world where if you really want to be who you want to be and experience life the way you want to experience it, waiting for someone else's permission and approval is the exact way to not do that. So we're up against a lot when it comes to that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like this is an easy thing. Also, there are some of us who were raised with no real guidance whatsoever. Maybe it was just punishment all the time. Some people were just raised with don't do anything. Stop. Whatever you're doing. You get punished all the time. Here, you get a beating for that. You get a beating for that. No, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. Just sit down. Just shut up. And some of you may laugh about that, but there's a lot of people out there who were raised with the no, absolutely not. No, you can't have that. No, you can't do that. No, you can't be a kid. Sit down, shut up. Absolutely not. Your only job is to behave the way I tell you to behave, to look the way I tell you to look, to act the way I tell you to act. There's a lot of people out there who were raised in that way on many different levels and many different financial backgrounds, because economics do not factor in when it comes to that. And so in those cases, you never get taught to trust yourselves to be your own authoritarian. You are taught to rely on someone else's authority over you, or you just become rebellious against that authority, belligerent or hyper controlling. And then, that's when you get criminals. People who, all they were taught was to be under someone else's authority, but then their inner self really wants to buck up against that. That's how you make a criminal. But either way, it is possible to begin practicing a new way that will free us all from the binds of needing someone else's approval. And it is the practice of self-approval. The practice of letting oneself be who you want to be and be who you want to be with, regardless of whether they have the family pedigree or the traditional things that you are told they're supposed to have. Now, that's not to say, you guys, if you've been listening long enough, I do a lot of shows around core values, lifestyle, that sort of thing. Obviously, if you're going to be with someone, you want those kinds of things to align, core value alignment. But do they really have to have gone to a certain university? Like, someone can be very much a life learner, very intellectual, very intelligent, very knowledge seeking, very wise, and not have gone to university at all. And the core value there is that willingness to learn and grow. And that can come in many different manifestations if we allow it to. So if we meet someone who never went to college, and everybody in our family went to college, and they all have judgments against it, but yet this person, you bond with this person because you find that there is a curiosity and exploration about life that is the unifying commonality between you. Those are the kinds of things that you want to be aware of and open to, right? And when we're self-approved, meaning that we might come from a family that went to college, and, if you're like myself, you might have started out going to college just because that's kind of what was expected of you. But at some point I had to say, well, it was what was expected of me, but it was also a choice that I made, and a choice that I made, in the way that I wanted to make it. I studied what I wanted to study. And it's, part of what is important to me, which is being a lifelong learner, right? And knowing that's important to me, knowing that I would want to align with someone who also is a lifelong learner. And if that means that they were someone who was in prison while I was in college, That's okay. Because if they've spent their life, their adult life, especially in these years, learning, growing, learning from, whatever mistakes that they made, acquiring knowledge, expanding themselves, stretching beyond their edge, really getting into, who they can be in life, really doesn't matter if they have that pedigree of a college degree. Right? So that's where number one comes from. First, you got to recognize that you get to invent your own rule book based on who you want to be in the world and who you want to be with in the world. You get to choose whether or not to be religious or how you interpret religion. You get to decide what values are most important to you, how you want to express yourself, if you want to be religious at all, if you want to believe in something or not believe in something. It truly is all up to you. And if you wait for someone else to decide, you will never get to feel the fulfillment that you desire. It's got to come from within you, right? What's important to you at your core has to come from within you. And it can be informed by the people around you, but you want to be very aware about whether you are deciding based on the people around you and their reactions and their feelings about who you choose and who you be in the world, or if it's coming from what makes you truly feel good about yourself. What makes you feel truly like you are living into your reason for being here. Right? Number two, decide who you want to be led by, because it is okay to be led. It is okay to be mentored. It is okay to be supported by the knowledge and wisdom of others. But base it on the example that they set for you, not what they tell you to do. So are they as fulfilled as you want to be? Do they have the core values that you would want to espouse to, that speak strongly to you? Are they navigating life the way that you would want to? Doesn't necessarily mean their external stuff is exactly what you would want or looks exactly how you would want, but are they someone who at their core aligns with who you'd like to be at your core, who you see yourself as at your core? Do what they say match up, what they do and what they say match up in a way that lights you up? And do they show you love in a way that feels supportive? Do they inspire you to listen to your own heart? So whether it's someone in your family, your friend group, a therapist, a coach, and I've talked about this before, and how you pick a coach, anyone that you're going to have lead you through your life. You want it to be someone who inspires you to listen to your own heart. You want to be inspired by somebody who listens to their own heart. Someone who can show you the way to do that, not the way to have what they have or do what they do, not the telling you what to do advice, but someone who inspires you to listen to yourself, to know and understand yourself, and to be true to that, because that is the only real life fulfillment, is to be true to yourself. And number three, learn to listen to your own heart and soul, exactly what I'm talking about. So from your very core, you do know exactly what it is that you want and need. We all do. Sometimes we have a lot of fear standing in the way of it because we've been conditioned to think that maybe what we want or need is not going to be good enough, or we won't be rich enough if we want and need certain things, or we won't have the life that was, preordained by whomever, we don't know, or what our parents have decided that they want for us. Whatever it might be, whoever it might be, you want to dig into all of those old thoughts and understand that that's all they are, is thoughts you keep on thinking that have turned into beliefs about what is supposed to be. And then listen to what your heart and your soul tells you about who you truly can be and who you truly are. And so it's okay to have fear about it. It's the willingness to recognize that fear has been dictating. That's the first step in realizing that you don't need anyone else's permission. As soon as I realize that I'm not doing this as big as I could do it, I'm not fully committing into this relationship. And I have a friend who's always telling me about, different people that she dates and doesn't want to get in a relationship with for reasons that have everything to do with status, everything to do with you know, some future visioning that she's not completely clear on, that really has to do with fitting in with her family, making sure that the people in her family approve of it. You know, all of those things. It's like that's the fear of not getting the approval that's dictating her life, dictating her choices about people. Never mind that these people truly care, or that they see her and see her as valuable. These people are rejected because they're not necessarily what her family would want them to be. And so that's the thing. You want to be able to really listen to your own heart and soul. If I listen to my own heart, do I feel good when I'm with this person? When I spend time with this person, do I feel good? Do I feel like myself? Do I feel like I can be myself freely? Do I feel like I have to put on some sort of facade? Do I feel like I feel when I'm with a family that's highly expectant of me? Is that why I'm thinking that this person is right for me? Because I feel the same way I feel when I'm with my dysfunctional family and trying to live up to what they want from me? Or do I, in my heart and my soul, really feel like myself and connected and fulfilled and peaceful and happy to be with this person, happy to have this person support me, and happy to support them as well? You gotta be able to listen to yourself, honey. So just to quickly recap, recognize that you get to invent your own rule book, decide who you want to be led by based on their example of listening to themselves. You know, that they inspire you to listen to your own heart, and listen to your own heart. From your core, you know what you need. You don't need anyone else's permission. So it's a practice, my sweethearts. It's a practice, right? Especially if you spent most of your adult life waiting for that approval, waiting for that validation, waiting for someone to say, oh yeah, because you've spoken your word on something. And that's another thing too, by the way. If you truly want the approval of others, you've decided that, Candace, I don't care what you say, no matter what, I absolutely need this approval. If that's something that you're stuck on, know that true approval is only going to come from you aligning your words and your actions. So all of the things that you endeavor to do, whether it's projects, career stuff, relationship stuff, whatever you choose for the big parts of your life, when you say this is what I choose and that's what you stick with and that's what you commit to, sooner or later, especially if you commit to it with longevity, sooner or later, everybody who poo-pooed it is going to have to say, you know what? You stuck to it. You stuck to it. There's no denying that. There's no bucking up against commitment. When you've shown that you've been in integrity around it, you put your word on it, and you just kept at it. I've been doing this coaching stuff for about 10 years now, and I have certain people in my life who've recognized, I don't think this thing is going away for you, Candace. And there's been some hard financial times, there's been some good financial times, it's been all over the place at times. And it's a hill I continue to climb because it's important to me and it's purpose aligned, and it's what is in the deepest recesses of my heart that I want to do. I've had people come in and out of my life with all of their opinions about whether I should or shouldn't be doing it, and whether it's worth it, and whether it's valid. I went on a couple dates with a guy who I told him what I did, and he said, no, what do you do, like for a job? I told him I was a coach and a hypnotherapist, and at the time I was still a matchmaker. He's like, oh, that's great, but what do you do? What do you do? What's your job? And what he meant was, how do you make money? And he couldn't wrap his mind around it. That here I was doing things that sound like, oh, those don't even sound like real jobs. But because I chose them, stayed committed to them, they are real jobs. They are real jobs that, no, it's not like going to somebody's office every day and knowing that you're going to have a check whether you slack off or not. And no, it's not the traditional standard status-driven way of making sure that you are, financially stable enough that other people will look upon you with approval, and making sure you're driving the right car or living in the right place. No, that's not the road that this has been. But one thing I do know is those who care about me the most do understand that I am in full commitment about this and have been for a decade now, and that it is a serious thing, that this thing is 100% real. Right? And wherever it's going to take me, it's going to be exactly where I'm supposed to go. Supposed to go. because it fulfills me and it is of my heart's desire. So the takeaway today, it is fantastic to have cheerleaders, supporters, people who will happily get on board with what we are doing. Consider that you are the example of the support that you need, and no one can rally for you any harder than you do for yourself. So whether it's a project, your career, a relationship you want to explore, find your own approval, my sweetheart. Give yourself permission. Be self-approved. Recognize whether it lights you up, regardless of what anybody else has to say about it. Be willing to live every aspect of your life in a way that feels good in your soul, even when it doesn't look the way that you thought that it should. And just do your thing, honey. Do your thing. Stop worrying about other people's validation. Stop worrying about other people's approval. Do it because you know it's right for you, 100% right for you. And I know I'll get some kickback. You'll say, Candace, you just talk about it like it's so easy. And if it were that easy, everybody would do it. You're damn straight. If it were that easy, everybody will do it. And what sets us apart is those who feel how they feel and they do what they want to do anyway. And then there are those who let everybody else dictate what will be possible for them. And I always talk about this T.D. Jakes thing when he was on Oprah. I forget which Oprah show it was, but he did this whole thing about the giraffe and the turtle. And he said, when you are meant to be tall, you cannot expect for things to be seen from the turtle's perspective. So when you can see a big picture for yourself in your life, whether it's the person that you choose for yourself or the work that you do or what you want to create in the world, expect that the people around you will be the turtles. You might get a couple of giraffes. We're very lucky as giraffes, when you're a giraffe on something in your life, to have other giraffes around you. You're very fortunate if you find that. Consider that everybody else who's not in your life, meaning that they're not living your life for you, is a turtle, and they see it from their own perspective. Now, that's not to say that they're not a giraffe around something else, because this is not about a hierarchy, who's better and who's worse. But when it comes to your own dreams and desires and what you truly want, you are the giraffe in that story. And to expect others around you to be in approval in order for you to be validated for what you see is a perfect way to cloud your own vision. And that's it, my sweethearts. So thank you for being with me for another Ask for Candy. And if you want to talk about this further, you know that you can email me, Candace at Candace Harper Love Coach, and talk to me about feelings of enoughness. I am a coach and a hypnotherapist. I do hypnotherapy around feelings of enoughness, and some of the symptoms of not feeling enough, besides being stopped around the things that we really want to do, are physical ailments and all kinds of ways that shows up that can cause a lot of dis-ease and sickness in the body, pains, aches, pains, infertility, weight problems, all of that stuff. And the hypnotherapy, addiction, and the hypnotherapy is really healing when it comes to all of those things. Also, right now I have an offer for going from heartbroken to wholehearted. So if you suffered a breakup in these COVID streets in the last few years or even longer ago, if you're in the midst of a relationship breakdown right now, if you're ready to go from heartbroken to wholehearted, and when I say ready, I mean that you are at a 7 to a 10 out of 0 to 10. It's do or die alone for you right now. I have a one-on-one program. Like I said, it's called Heartbroken to Wholehearted. It's a combination of both coaching and hypnotherapy. It's 9 weeks of individualized love, attention, and learning your way to healing the past, loving yourself unconditionally, and starting your love life over from a clean slate. If you want to be narcissist proof, honey, you want to do this program. And if you're ready to make an emotional and financial investment for your freedom, your physical wellness, and how you experience your love life, email me, Candace at CandaceHarperLoveCoach.com, and I will send you my exclusive consultation link, or I will send you more information. You let me know which one you need. Follow me at Candy Love Coach on Instagram, on TikTok. I'm TikToking, y'all. Follow me on TikTok. Don't forget to that you can also email me at askforcandypodcast@gmail.com as well. And that's it, my sweet loves. I love you so much. Thank you for being with me. Until next time, never forget that you are a love machine. If you ever start to feel like you aren't getting the love you need, just make more and then ask for candy. I love you. Mwah, mwah, mwah.